Okay. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, welcome. Harim and Mishpacha, family and friends, we thank you for once again joining us on our broadcast. Kahal Elohim, the congregation, community of the believers of truth. And we seek for truth. And we have zero. Okay, that's popping up. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not speaking through the empty air. Okie dokie. So this is our 64th teaching, 64th week. Shabbat Shalom, William. Shalom. All right. I never saw so many O's and M's in one. Shabbat Shalom. It's great to have William with us. And all the mishpacha out there, I pray that you're up and about. Right here, it's 11 o'clock on the east coast of here in New York City. So again, number 64, and I think it's interesting that I'm talking about the forever, what happens next. And 64, it's 8 times 8, and 8 is the number of eternity. You know, when you turn it on its side, it's the symbol of infinity, right? So 8 times 8 is 64, and that's where we are right now. And we're going to be talking about man's great destiny, man's great future, man and woman, of course, talking about mankind, and Adam, his great future. We're well aware of the failure of man, but now we're going to talk about the success of mankind, okay? This is February 13th, and it's also the 30th day of month 11. Mañana, tomorrow, is the Chodesh, the last Chodesh of the year. Amazing, right? Amazing. It's gone by very, very fast. Tomorrow is the first day of month 12. At the conclusion of that month, we have the new year. We have the Rosh Chodesh, we have the Rosh Hashanah, and we have the Aviv. And we begin our the countdown to Passover and unleavened breads and first fruits and Pentecost, Shavuot. So we're going to hit the ground running here. We have a couple of really good scripture readings today, also from Psalm 146 and from 2 Peter chapter 2, Kifa al Beit chapter 2. So we got a lot on the schedule today, and we're grateful that you're with us, and we thank you for checking us out, both on the Sabbath morning at 11 a.m. and then on Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. We're doing a completely different thing, an hour's midweek midrash study. We are currently engrossed in Psalm 119. Please come and join us. And if you haven't joined us in that study, we have all the teachings in the backlog, going from Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, the whole Hebrew alphabet, because that's what Psalm 119 introduces. 8 verses. Again, the theme, you're sensing the theme of 8, the crazy 8s, the theme of 8. There's 8 verses devoted to each letter of the Hebrew alphabet, of which there are 22 letters. So we are, I think we're on number 14 or 15. I'm not quite sure right off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, it's a very fragile place for me. But again, we're thankful that you're with us, and we will continue to proceed along. And we remind everyone about our terminology and our purpose here. Every week, you'll see some reference to guarding the Shabbat as kadosh, as holy, as set apart. And we need to do that. Remember to do this. That's part of the Decalogue. It's part of our life as believers. Why Sabbath? Why the 7th day of the week? Why is that so important? Is that a Jewish thing? Well, according to the creation account, it is part of the universal reality of the creation. The 7th day is set apart to be considered kadosh, and by keeping it, we are kadosh. So I want to do a quick mentioning it once again. But again, terminology, we don't refer to Yeshua, Yahusha. The Messiah's name is doesn't begin with a J. It's Yahusha or Yeshua, because his name has meaning. And the gospel accounts this, and they would call his name Yeshua because he will be salvation for his people. Yeshua is salvation. And Elohim is the term that's used for the God word. And the name, the tetragrammaton, capital Lord, which is Yud He Wav He, is Yahuwah, Yahuwah, which is the closest we can get by pronunciation. And we are told not to take that name in vain, not to take it as vanity, or to think of it as something that needs to be minimized or rejected. So we are very conscious of that. Other names I will give as we go along. Torah, of course, instead of law, although law is still appropriate, but it's more, Torah is more translated better as instruction. Vital information needs to pass between the eternal Yahuwah and us. So, with regards to Shabbat, we see in Exodus the first recording of the Ten Commandments. That Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and made it kadosh, made it holy. And in chapter 31:13, he says, Yahuwah speaks to Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, speak to the Bnei Israel, which is the children of Israel, all the folk who are under the Israeli banner, saying, above all, my Shabbatot, my Sabbaths, plural, you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Okay. Above all, top priority, instruct the children of Israel, which is much more than just one nation. It is the people of Elohim, all 12 tribes. Above all, top priority, my Sabbaths, plural, you shall keep, for it is a sign. It is the concept of Shabbat, because it goes from a plural to a singular there. We have 52 weekly Sabbaths, and we have at least 7 annual Sabbaths that are split up between the spring and the autumn, which are holy convocations, assemblies required in which to fellowship and to present ourselves to Yahuwah, to the eternal. Okay, it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. It is a sign, it's a connection. It's a direct link of compatibility. It's a covenant. We are supposedly part of a Brit Chadashah, a new covenant. And this is one of the signs of the covenant, is the keeping of Shabbat. It is a sign. It is a sign. It is an indicative sign between me and you throughout the years. And why is that? That you may know that I am Yahuwah. I am the one who sanctifies you. I've sanctified the day and made it kadosh, and I require you to keep it that. I've made it holy. You are to keep it holy. And we see that in Isaiah, Yeshayahu, Hanavi, Isaiah the prophet, chapter 58, starting with verse 13. If you turn your foot away from the Shabbat, in other words, we're going on our own direction. No, we turn it aside from doing your pleasure on my holy day. And if you call the Shabbat a delight, the holy day of Yahuwah honorable, and you shall honor him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasures, nor speaking your own words, then, and only then, you shall delight yourself in Yahuwah. Here's the formula on how to be pleasing to Yahuwah, even as it says in the epistle of Yochanan Aleph, 1 Yochanan chapter 5. This is love for Elohim. This is how we show our love for him, by loving him, keeping his commandments, and his commandments are not a burden for us because we've overcome the world. Who has overcome the world? Even we who believe and have faith in Messiah. Okay? Not doing your own ways, not finding your own pleasures, not speaking your own words, then you shall delight yourself in Yahuwah. And I will cause you to ride on the high hills of the earth and feed on with the heritage of Yaakov, your father. The mouth of Yahuwah is spoken. Boom. Case closed. That's it. The Alpha, the Omega. He initiates the conversation and he closes the conversation. He's the one. Okay, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. No, click. It's done. That's all I needed to say. Boom. Mankind tends to chatter endlessly beyond what needs to be said and feel like we need to fill in the spaces that can be awkward silence with chatter. And Yahuwah is straight to the point. He tells you what you need, and then I'll see you. I'll check back with you. You know. So we are to be fed with the heritage of Yaakov. Now, what does that mean? Remember, Israel. We're talking about Israel, and that's another whole subject for another time. But a little glimpse of that is those who are believers in Messiah are either part of the literal. I'm not talking about Jewish people specifically, because there are 12 tribes. Remember, they were divided in the northern and southern region. The northern region with Samaria as head, they were sifted through the nations, through Assyria. And it's all in essence, they disappeared as far as we can tell. But Messiah came. He said, I came only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We know where the Jews are. The Jews were in the southern region. That's where we get the Yahuwah. But all of Israel is inclusive. The people that were ruled by Melech David, the great king. So we are either part of the literal children, Bnei Israel, or we have grafted ourselves on, that we are, once we were far off, now we have been brought near. And whether you believe that is the pagan, former pagans coming into the fold, or whether you believe that is, again, those Israelites who have been sifted through the nations. You look at one, they are from Ghana, Africa. You go to another, from Brazil. You go to another, from Thailand. You go to another, middle of Europe, England, Ireland, wherever. All these people have been sifted through the nations, and they have a hunger for Torah. They have a hunger for Shabbat. They have a hunger for the things of Yahuwah, of the eternal Yah. Okay? So we are to be fed with our heritage, and we are to awaken to that calling and be faithful to the one who calls. So it is important that we do that. And we need to prove all things. We need to test all things. 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things, test all things, hold fast what is good, abstain from every kind of evil. You have a choice, and we need to prove it. Don't just assume that you figured things out. You know what happens when you assume, right? You know that old joke. I'm not going to go there, especially not on Shabbat. But 2 Timothy 3:16 reminds us that all scripture is given, is breathed to us. He speaks and delivers the words by his breath, by the Ruach. His word is Messiah. The Father speaks with the breath, delivering the word, delivering Messiah. So that is how he is sent. He is a shaliach. The Messiah is sent through the Ruach to deliver truth, to preaching the kingdom. Okay, it's all inspired, profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. That's Torah, instruction. So it is for reproof and for correction. So this is something that we need to be updated. It's like our computers. We get updates and improvements. We're not talking about changing. We don't add to or subtract from the word, but we need to be willing to listen. Shema, listen. We will learn. The word tells us that we need to be slow to speak, but fast, quick to hear. We need to be hearers of the word, and by being effective hearers, we become doers of the word. So that's my little introduction today of the importance that we need to reflect the urgency of the message that goes out, and understand the importance of them to us for a better life. And what Yahuwah offers to us is pretty amazing. So we need to be faithful to him and acknowledge him. So here, let's say the Torah blessings. I'm really dry for some reason. Let's just load up on some mayim. Oh, I might actually need more.
Okay.
Oh, man. Now, when the ark would travel, when the ark would travel, Moses would say, Arise, O Yahuwah, let your enemies be scattered, and let them that hate you flee from before you. For from Zion shall go forth the Torah and the word of Yahuwah from Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion detzei Torah, udvar Yahuwah me Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion. Blessed is he who in his holiness give Torah to his people, Yisrael. Amen. Baruch et Yahuwah hamivorach, Baruch Yahuwah hamivorach le'olam v'oed. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Yahuwah notein ha'torah. Amen. Blessed is Yahuwah the Blessed One. Blessed is Yahuwah the Blessed One for all eternity. Blessed are you, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, sovereign of the universe, of infinity, who has chosen us from all peoples and given us his Torah. Blessed are you, O Yahuwah, Notain HaTorah, the giver of Torah. So he blesses us. He's singled us out from all of humanity. Yeah, you. Chosen us from all peoples and has given us his Torah, his instruction, his word, which for our mind and our heart, the perfect peace that surpasses our understanding, to guard our hearts and our minds in Messiah Yeshua. Amen. So we say thanks. Todah Rabbah, we give you much thanks this day, Father. We pray for special blessings upon the speaker and the hearer of your word, hearers of your word this day, Father, that we would walk away from this Shabbat enriched, enlightened, and have a greater quantity of truth governing our lives, that we don't have to stumble in the darkness because we have the light of your word. Your word is truth. Hadavar emet. The word is truth. Hagadol, great truth. And we give you thanks this day, and we give you much, much gratitude, not just expressed in words, but in deeds as well. And we give you thanks again for all things b'shem Yeshua, in the name of Yeshua, Yehusha. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Todah Rabbah. Amen. Okie dokie. Alrighty. So as I mentioned earlier, we have at least 2 scripture readings today. It'd be nice if we have a third one, but currently I believe we have 2. Psalm 146. First of all, Shabbat Shalom, Pat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Amen. Go right ahead.
Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah, O my soul. I will praise Yahuwah all my life. I will sing praise to my Elohim as long as I live. Do not put your trust in princes and mortal men who cannot save. When their spirit departs, they return to the ground. On that very day, their plans come to nothing. Blessed is he whose help is the Elohim of Jacob, whose hope is in Yahuwah, his Elohim, the maker of heaven and earth, the sea, and everything in them. Yahuwah, who remains faithful forever. He upholds the cause of the oppressed, gives food to the hungry. Yahuwah sets prisoners free. Yahuwah gives sight to the blind. Yahuwah lifts up those who are bowed down. Yahuwah loves the righteous. Yahuwah watches over the alien and sustains the fatherless and the wicked, but he frustrates the ways of the wicked. Yahuwah reigns forever, your Elohim, O Zion, for all generations. Praise Yahuwah. Psalms 146 begins and ends with praise Yahuwah. It begins with a case to praise and supplies a number of reasons for praising Elohim. In verses 3 and 4, we see words of instruction. In verse 5, it states, happy is the man who has Elohim as his helper. In verse 6, it shows Elohim as the creator of the heavens and the earth, as well as the sea. Elohim in the following verses we see he executes justice for the oppressed and the hungry. The psalmist declares Yahuwah's special concern for the widow, the orphan, the oppressed, the hungry, and the stranger. He gives reference to the contrasting lifestyles of the righteous and the wicked. The Psalms ends with praise Yahuwah. Amen.
Amen. Amen. This is
Amen.
a beautiful psalm. As you said, it begins with praise Yahuwah, O my soul, with my life. While I have my being, I will sing praises to him. That's a beautiful phrase when you think of as long as I have the breath of life within me, I am a nefesh, an air-breathing, living, viable, mortal being. While I have my life, I direct it towards you, and I will praise you with my conduct, my behavior, and yes, my vocabulary, but in our actions. We need to praise him with our actions as well. And then it goes on, and we were talking about, politics and such. Do not put your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. His spirit departs. He returns to the earth, and that very day his plans perish. As he gives up his last breath, the last thoughts die with him. Done. Done. We don't put our hope in man, where there's a possibility of failure, a possibility of shenanigans, whatever. There's no help in man. Okay? But happy is he. Blessed, but ashrei, which is not just blessed, but happy, rejoicing, is he who has Elohim, the Elohim of Yaakov, the proven Elohim, the Elohim of Yaakov, the same one who has been with them, the patriarchs, with Moses and with Messiah. The same Elohim, whose hope is in Yahuwah, is Elohim, who made the heavens and the earth and all that is in them, who keeps truth forever. What is his truth? What is truth? Your word is truth. So whereas man, we put our trust in politics, in whatever, his spirit departs. There's no help there. But in Elohim, he's the one who created everything. So he truly is the one that we should go to when we need justice. He made the heavens. It is he who executes justice. It is he who gives food to the hungry. It is he who gives freedom to the prisoners. It is he who opens the eyes of the blind. It is he who raises those who have bowed down. It is he who loves the righteous. It is he who watches over the strangers. Remember, Messiah said, it rains on the good and the bad. He's good to those who are near and to those who are far. Okay, the Ger Hagor, the righteous Gentile, the Goyim. It is he who relieves the fatherless and the widow. And at the same time, the way of the wicked, he turns upside down. The man that some people put their trust to princes, the politicians, he turns it upside down. Here is life and hope and promises. It's upside down. He turns it upside down. He overturns the apple cart. It is flawed and it will be overturned because he's the judge. In a courtroom setting, somebody can say, "Oh, I get it." It says he hits the mallet. It says, "Overruled, overruled." Your statement has no weight to it. It's overturned. It is not applicable. So that is again Yehoshua HaMashiach, who is the Alpha and he is the Omega. He's the final one. Even as we read earlier about the Lord has spoken, Yahuwah has spoken. Boom, that's it. Are we going to advise him? Are we going to teach him? No, I don't think so. Okay, Yahuwah reigns. It is he who reigns forever. As opposed to the princes, they have their short term in the sun, but Yahuwah shall reign forever. Your Elohim, O Zion, shall reign to all generations. Praise his name. Amen. Great, Pat. Excellent. Good choice. Thank you. And we can go on with that, but it is, I think, We got some good points driven from that. Thank you, Pat.
Welcome.
Toda Rabba. And I believe our friend Gilbert is going to be reading from Kefa Beit, 2 Peter chapter 2. Would that be the whole chapter, sir?
Yes.
Alrighty. Thank you, Gil.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, William. Welcome once more. Peter chapter 2. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresy, even denying the Yahuwah that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. For if Elohim spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the whole world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, in sin and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Yahweh kneweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. But chiefly them that walked after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, and despised government, presumptuous are they, self-willed, they are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Whereas angels which are greater in power and might bring not railing accusation against them before the Yahweh, but these as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, spell the evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utter perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that counted pleasure to riot in the daytime, spots there are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceiving, while they feast with you, having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling and unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with contemptuous practices, cursed children, which are forsaking the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Pasor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, but was rebuked for his iniquity, the dumb ass speaking with man's voice, forbade the madness of the people. These are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they are lured through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness. Those that were clean escaped from them who live in error, while the promised them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption, for whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought in bondage. For after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Yahuwah and Savior Yeshua the Mashiach, they are again entangled therein, and overcome the latter end of their worst with them that the beginning. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandments delivered unto them. But it is happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed of her water in the mire. Amen.
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 Second Peter. Peter, the true revelation of Peter's message was of false prophets and false teachers who deceived Elohim flock and bringing damnable heresies. These heresies is an open denial of Messiah himself, denying Yeshua that brought them that Messiah atonement extend to all men, including the false teachers who rejected him. They will experience destruction because they will be deceived by their own teaching and will continue to reject the truth. Future judgment of this world is reference of the flood of Noah, day which came upon the old world in the antediluvian world. The flood is an illustration of coming universal judgment at the end time of this age. The deliverance of Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah is used to illustrate that Elohim will deliver his own coming judgment. False teachers are described as cursed children. They are like wells without water, unable to satisfy the spiritual thirst of men, and clouds that are blown about by every wind of doctrine. False teachers are called servants of corruption, despite their position of salvation, and because they become entangled in the world and overcome by it. Their latter end is worse than their beginning profession, and that will be seen when Messiah returns with his archangels. That will be a day of mourning and rejoicing. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And his words to us, Kepha, echo the words of the author of Hebrews. Some believe it was Shaul, some believe it was Silas or Apollos, where he says, after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of Adonai and Savior Yeshua the Messiah, they become entangled again and overcome. The latter end is worse than the beginning. It would better if they had never known it. And when you read Hebrews chapter 6, it talks about that if you've tasted and seen, if you've truly experienced Yahuwah, truly walked in his fullness of truth, to turn away and then to try to come back again, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know, this is not talking about somebody who has a cursory understanding of Yahuwah, but if you've actually walked with him, if you actually experienced the gifts manifested in your life, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to take a little vacation. I'm going to leave for a little while. I may or may not be back. To come back, just kind of saunter back in, it doesn't work that way. It's very, very, very serious. But this is a lot of context here. Let's see. And again, it's talking about false teaching. It's talking about those who are polluting the airwaves with their opinions and their thoughts on the matter and their feelings on the matter and how they've come to these conclusions. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how you feel. What does the word say? Word interprets word. It's called biblical exegesis. The word interprets the word. We can certainly change it if we want to, but we're no longer under the blanket. We're no longer in the covenant. We stray outside, and that's that. By covetousness, they will exploit you with deceptive words. For a long time, the judgment has not been idle. The way of truth they have blasphemed. So they exploit you with deceptive words. They've told you that You need to plant some seed to their ministry. You need to come across with some hard cash. Otherwise, you're not exhibiting your faith. And other horrible things is those who walk according to the flesh and the lust, verse 16, of uncleanness, and they despise authority. They say, "Hey, I'm not yielding to any pastor or any man. I don't need man's approval." Well, you're wrong. Yahuwah placed an order of things. You need to listen to the counsel it's given you. And if you don't, say, "Oh, I'm not going to listen to a man unless the Lord," well, who do you think this man is supposed to represent? Unless you totally reject, not the hierarchy, but the order of authority. You're rebellion. You're rebelling against the Yahuwah's anointed. They are presumptuous. They're self-willed. They're not afraid to speak evil of dignitaries. They're not afraid, like natural brutes. They speak evil of things they do not understand, and they will utterly perish in their own corruption. So it's a lot of negativity in this, but just prove all things, test all things. Every week I begin in my introduction with some key verses. Don't believe me. I don't want you to say, "Well, he told me." Well, we'll back up for a second. What exactly did you hear? I know what I said, but what did you hear? Sometimes somebody will say something and we'll say, "Oh, I'm sure he's approving." And that's not a condemnation. That must be an approval. It's not an overt condemnation. At least that's not how I feel it is. We get ourselves in trouble when our feelings, our thoughts, our opinions, our sensitivities are ruffled. Let Elohim be true and every man a liar. Elohim is true. His word is truth. Thy word is truth. Sanctify them by your word. Your word is truth. We need to be made kadosh. And we saw at the very beginning of today's message that he's the one who makes us holy. We find joy and fulfillment in him. And so, yeah, I could keep going on, but I think we get the picture here. And it is important that we don't go beyond what is written, that we listen carefully and don't just hear what we want to hear. Because even as I talked about in Timothy, that the word corrects. In other words, sorry, no, you were wrong about that. We have to be willing to acknowledge, I'm sorry. I thought I understood this better, but now I thought I understood this, but now I understand it fully in this, and I want to correct the records. And I'm not going to get into politics. I can have a couple of good political points to point to, but I'm not going to go there. But be faithful to Yahuwah. Be faithful to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be honest and honorable and faithful. And otherwise, we were deceptive and we're not trustworthy and we're worse than a believer. So let us be faithful to that. Gilbert, thank you so much.
My pleasure, sir.
Okay. Anyone else reading today? Otros? Okay. Alrighty then. Let me just open in prayer as I endeavor to teach a subject that many might not be fully acquainted with. Not to your shame. Not to your shame. What you hear, what people are popularly talking about, and certain things are saying, well, let's not really go there. I don't really know that much about there, so let's not do that. But this is important. This is talking about the full potential of the pinnacle of creation, which is Adam, which is mankind, not the individual Adam, but Adam, male and female, he created them. That's who Adam is, mankind. And it was Tov Ma'od, it was very good. So it's a preview of forever, and who exactly is in charge after all? So Abba, I just pray right now that you would guide my thoughts, and as I put your word in a particular configuration to emphasize certain things today, I pray that you would be with me and that everyone would be checking out what I'm saying. I have pen and paper. make references to the notes and check back and see if indeed this holds up. And I believe before I present anything, I have to make sure that it is absolutely provable. If there's any conjecture involved, I will say that with highlights and neon signs if I'm going to exercise any form of conjecture. So again, we thank you for this day, and I pray for a special blessing upon the speaker and the hearers of your word. And we give you thanks again, B'Shem Yeshua, HaMashiach, Amen.
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 Okay, so to reach tomorrow, we first sometimes have to go back and go back to the beginning, Bereshit. And we go back to the very beginning to understand what the future holds. And we see that Isaiah, Yeshayahu Hanavi, Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9 and 10. Before we go back to Bereshit, to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, I want to go ahead to where Isaiah is quoting the eternal. Yahuwah speaks through his prophet. Remember the former things of old, for I am Elohim, and there is no other. I am Elohim, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Again, the counsel stands. Boom. Nobody can refute him. Nobody can refute him. There's it's like a flea standing next to an elephant saying, I think I want to, where you're standing, I think I want to be there, so you got to move. That's not going to happen, okay? And that's a gross exaggeration, in fact, a flea to an elephant. We are way far away from being in a position to judge Yahuwah, even though we are to grow in him and share his mindset. And to be of his mindset means there's no room for debate. We are of that same opinion. We are part of his family. We are part of his purposes. There's no reason for debate. We are echad. We are echad. Just like Yeshua didn't debate with his Father in heaven. No, his purposes needed to be done. If you see me, you see the Father. Okay, so let's go back to Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 1. I'm going to read verse 21 and then 24, 25, okay? Okay, so Elohim created sea creatures and every living thing that moves, with which the waters abounded, according to their kind. Leminehem, their kind, the kind of them. Okay, all of the same category. And every winged bird, according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was tov, it was good. Mean. He saw it was mean, according to portion out, to sort by species, kind, or to be numbered. Every winged creature was separated according to its kind, which is the root of the word mineh. Okay, that is the kind. All creatures are made according to their groups, in which, a wolf and a dog can interbreed and have offspring. They're all of the same kind. A horse and a zebra can mate and produce offspring because they are of the equine type. Cats, same thing. Birds, different groupings of birds and creatures can breed because they are the same kind, okay? We go to verse 24. Then Elohim said, let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, the cattle, the creeping thing, the beast of the earth, each according to its kind. And it was so. And Elohim made the beast of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was tov, it was good. Then verse 26, Elohim said, let us make man in our image according to our likeness. Okay, this is not talking about the primates, the chimps, and the lemurs, and the various primates, New World monkeys, the great apes, and human beings, all of the same kind. No, it doesn't say that at all. This is a different thing. Adam, let us make man in our image, using us, using Elohim as the standard and the model, if you will. Just like when you're painting in a fine arts class, you have a model before you, or you have something specific, right? Na'aseh Adam, let us make mankind betzal menu. Betzal menu, in our image, in the image of us, kid mutenu, in the likeness of us. Okay? Let them have dominion. The year do, which the word is radah, which is to rule. Let them have dominion. Let them have authority. The root of the word is actually to tread down and to subjugate or to prevail against, to rule and overtake. But of course, he's not talking about brutally doing so. It's just in contrast. Mankind will be so superior that he will be in a position to rule and watch over them. You can't get a hyena to look over and judge righteously and make sure that the birds are okay, make sure that the fish stock is up. And, it takes mankind to do this. And I did a teaching a few weeks back about the mind, which talks about the significant difference between mankind and the animals. So I'm not going to go into any more of that. You can review that other teaching. I don't have the number with me, but you'll see it says something to do with the mind, okay? So man is to have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. Okay? So Elohim created Ha'adam, the man, in his own image, and in the image of Elohim he created them, male and female he created them. Verse 31, then Elohim saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was Tov Ma'od, very good. So the evening and the morning was the sixth day. Amen. And it's very good, and it is yet to be Tikkun Olam, which is which will lead to the Metzuyan, which lead to the repairing of the earth, will lead to the perfect creation or recreation. Okay, it was Tov Ma'od, not just good. It was Tov, 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 and at the end of the sixth day, it was Tov Ma'od, because Yahuwah had ordained order. He created an environment to be filled with creatures. Okay, he created the heavens, and now he made the birds. He created the oceans, and he made the fish and the mollusks, the crustaceans, etc., etc. Then he made the earth. He made the tiny and the large, and above them all, he gave them a shepherd. He gave them a ruler. And mankind was made to rule, not to subjugate and to force and to. In fact, Messiah said, "You're not going to rule like traditional man rules, lording it over each other. You're going to understand that if you're going to rule, you have to be a servant of all." Okay, I'm going to get into that later as well. So after creating all the flora and the fauna, plant and animal life, he created a surrogate, a stand-in for himself to rule and to be in charge of over all the physical creation on the earth. At the completion of creation, he stops. Again, the seventh day, he wasn't exhausted. He didn't need a vacation. Wow, that was tough. Tough creating a whole universe of stuff. I'm going to take the day off, okay? He stops his creation, and he stops for contemplation and instruction as a sign between the great king and his vassal kings. Okay? Once he had ordained that and established that, he steps back. He stops. He doesn't go beyond. And I've been involved in art over the years, drawings, paintings, music, writing, and the tendency, and again, using myself as an example, I'm far from Elohim's standard or his reality, not his standard, but his reality, and the tendency is, you always want to tinker with it. Okay. Oh, that's okay. But I want to, do this. I think sometimes you got to step away. Have somebody be your editor and say, no, it's done. I'm not, no, stop it. Get away. It's done. It's completed. But Elohim, in his great wisdom, says, no, that was it. Day 6 completed the purpose. By the end of day 6, we have Shabbat, the time to step back and evaluate. And we are evaluated on Shabbat. We are to stop what we're doing. We're to give him our full attention. It's the one mandate day of the year, of the week, rather, to come together and to assemble. And we're even warned, saying there are some that are not into these gatherings, much to their chagrin. This is not a good thing. We need to assemble. We need to hear the word. We need to be instructed and to move forward at the pace that we are capable of moving. Okay, contemplates instruction. It's a sign between the great king and his vassal kings, and that's how rulership was done back in the day. You'd have a great king, and under him you would have vassal kings. You would have those who are given all the authority that they need to fully govern, and they're only answerable to the great king. Nobody else. That's it. He wasn't tired, didn't need a day off or a vacation. With cooperation, Elohim and his child will create the condition of the whatchamacallit, the Tikkun Olam, which is the reparation of the world. I didn't write that down. Let me just do that. Tikkun Olam, which repairs the world around us. And that's kind of a rabbinic idea, but I could see it's true. In the millennial kingdom, we're going to see how man will rule the earth, and part of that will be the repairing, making reparations. Metsuyan will be the state that will come beyond Tov Ma'od and beyond Tov. That is the destiny. And we're reading various verses here. We're going to Psalm 8, verses 3 to 6. This is, when I consider the heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained. What is man? Ma Elosh. What is man? Ma Elosh. Again, the word Adam is not used here. The word Elosh has a root which is to be frail, mortal, desperate, incurable, sick, woeful. Because that's what man becomes down the road, because this is, again, written in the days of the kings, right? What is pathetic man, essentially? What is frail humanity? That you're mindful of him, and the Son of Man, or the Ben Adam, that you visit him. So what is man? Enosh, the pathetic, that you're keeping an eye on him, or the Son of Man, that you visit him. And Ben Adam is a title of the Messiah, a title of a prophet, and those who are faithfully serving, right? He visits and fellowships with the noble and is careful concerning those who are less than them, or less so. So walk before me and be perfect. And as I've said before, walk before me so I can keep an eye on you. So that's mankind. He's got to keep an eye on us, or two if he can help it. For you have made him a little lower than the Malachim. No, it doesn't say that. It says you have made him a little lower than Elohim. You have made man a little lower than Elohim. Now we see later on where the servant of Yahuwah uses this and refers to the Malachim. But in the Hebrew, Elohim can be powerful ones. It can also be, he made him a little lower than himself. He made him in his image and likeness, so he is like him. He is to rule like him, to be effectively creative like him, to think clearly and cleverly and with wisdom, with chokhmah, a little lower than himself. You have made him a little lower than Elohim, and you have crowned him with glory and honor. So man has been crowned with glory and honor. Yahuwah does not share his glory with anyone else. He does not share except those who are uniquely and intimately his. You have made him to have dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet. Okay? You have put all things under his feet. In Messiah, we eventually inherit all things fully. We are his surrogates. We've been deputized, just like the Logos is the one who is sent. We are now being sent, and all things will be put under our feet eventually. We're not seeing this fully happen today, but this is the goal. This is the future. This is tomorrow. We go to Bereshit chapter 11, speaking about the Tower of Babel, the place of confusion. You know, Yahuwah's orders, mandate was you disperse and you spread out. That's the purpose of mankind, to spread over the face of the earth. But they said, aha, he said, they said. There's usually a huge difference, right? But they said, come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the earth. So that working in their efforts are to go completely against the commands of Yahuwah. But Yahuwah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built, the Bnei Adam. And Yahuwah said, indeed, the people are one, and they all having one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahuwah scattered them abroad from there over face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is Babel, because there Yahuwah confused the language of all the earth, and from there Yahuwah scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. So Yahuwah's will is finally done, however, reluctantly, and the different groupings of man, based on their language and ability to communicate, are where they go, where we see through the continued inbreeding among those segregated categories, we see the ethnos being developed and having having a distinct appearance, distinct sound. Okay, so Yahuwah is concerned that once they've got their mind to do something, they're going to do it. So unless restrained by Elohim, man might have forced his way to the point of self-destruction, a point that we have found ourselves this day. You know, for mutual annihilation, right? That's where we've reached ourselves as far as our nuclear abilities. And now we have the full capabilities. So the fear of Babel has been realized thousands of years later, where now man has this, but man also has access to the atoning sacrifice of Messiah. So that's one advantage that we didn't have in Babel. Okay, whatever we're determined to do, we will do. You know, I mean, look at the evil dictators over the past century. They were determined to do something, and they did. They made people come to ridiculous conclusions about race, about inferiority, superiority, all these things, and their extreme destructive conclusions. They begin and they go to Mein Kampf became the architect of destruction of peoples. You know, I remember the situation in Rwanda, where from generation to generation, the Hutus and the Tutsis would butcher each other and just totally seek to destroy the other. So let me go up to Matthew, Metayahu 24. Okay, so Yahuwah's purposes will be achieved willingly or unwillingly, they will be done. Man will do what he's told. Just like the spoiled kid will go to his room and stay in his room until he's called, and he might have to skip a meal here or there also. Okay, spare the rod, spoil the child. Okay, Metayahu 24. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world. And that's Bereshit, not since Bereshit, until this time. No, nor ever shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. So now we are living in days where this verse can be fulfilled. Unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. What global catastrophe was man capable of utilizing against his fellow man? But now, now we're canceling each other at the very least. We're hating each other, and we're destroying each other. So instead of self-obliteration, Yahuwah's purpose shall stand, and mankind will meet his destiny. Order shall prevail over chaos. Bavel will serve as an example, but it no longer has any bearings on today and going forward. Okay? We go to Shemot, the book of Exodus, I believe that's chapter 18. I wrote down there, 13 and 26. Shemot. And it was so. I'm sorry. And so it was on the next day that Moshe sat to judge the people, and the people stood before Moshe from morning till evening. Yitro, who is Moshe's father-in-law, gives some wise counsel to him. Okay? So we skip over. It says, you shall teach them, he says. You shall teach them the statutes and the Torah and the laws. And show them the way in which they must walk, the halakha, the way to walk, and the work they must do. Okay? They must work, and do. Okay? Work, and do. To do. That's what we're instructed to do. We're instructed to walk a certain way, to do certain works, and to do them, to not just think about them, but to do them. Moreover, you shall select from all the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of truth, of emet, and let them judge the people at all times. Rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, and rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. So humanity is given Elohim-like responsibilities from the very beginning to help direct and judge his fellow man under Yahuwah. Faith comes from hearing the word, and chaos comes from the flawed hearing. We heard about that in Gilbert's selection today. And it might have even been hinted at in Pat's as well, that the flawed hearing, the flawed teachings are going to heat itchy ears. So we need to make sure that we prove all things, test all things. Well, I heard this. You know what? I heard about I don't care what you heard about. What is it that you heard? Does it stand up? Is it true? So we are to from the very beginning, we are to have this deity-like responsibility of rulership over the earth to direct and judge and to help our fellow man under Yahuwah. He's the top, and then they're lower. There's the king and the vassals. Even as Moshe is the big macher at the time, even though he was very humble, right? He was at the top level. And then there would be those over thousands, over hundreds, over 10s and 50s. Okay? Now we go to the Gospel of Mark. Okay, chapter 1, verse 14. Moshe Yochanan. The time is fulfilled, and the kingdom of Elohim is at hand. Repent and believe in the gospel. Besarah. Believe in the gospel, the meat of the word. It's at hand. The time is fulfilled. This is the time to acknowledge the Malchut HaElohim, the kingdom, the just kingdom. And this is, again, man will have responsibilities in that kingdom. Again, no harp strumming. Unless you want, maybe you can take some harp lessons on your free time as a resurrected being. I'm sure that we have the capabilities of mastering many musical instruments. I'm sure that Harp music might be an option, but we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy. We go to Daniel, chapter 2, 44. Chapter 2, verse 44. And in the days of these kings, again, this is the dream of Nebuchadnezzar about the various rulerships of Babylon, Media Persia, Greece, Rome, and so on. So there we see the different rulerships, these kings. In the days of those kings, the Elohim of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It's never going to go to somebody else. It's to those that he is deigned worthy to serve with him, to be his priests, to be his vassal kings, to be his citizens of his kingdom. It shall break in pieces. See, that's the other thing that we have this flawed logic, that we're just going to be citizens, that we just fill out some paperwork and then you have to, your life is your documentation, your life and how you live it, and the fairness and the justness of your existence is going to be measured by what you've done. We are all going to be judged by what we've done. So we're not just going to fill out a little card or something. Okay. It won't be left to other people. It'll be my elect. My elect shall inherit the kingdom. The rest, not so much. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. We are to rule with him, to overcome, and invest our talents, our minas, wisely. And the word for mina, the parable of the mina, it's a weight. It's a monetary thing. Okay, we go to Luke chapter 19, verse 12. So we're to rule with him, to overcome, and to invest our talents and our minas wisely. Okay, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and then to return. The mina has certain weight, like a pound or whatever. Verse 15. And so it was that when he returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded these servants to whom he had given the minas, okay, to be called to him, that he might know how every man had gained by trading. In other words, do business until I come. Here it is. Do business with it until I come. Then the first came saying, Master, Adon, your mina has earned 10 minas. And he said to him, well done, good servant, because you were faithful in the very little, have authority over 10 cities. The second earned 5 minas and shall be over 5 cities. The third forfeited his mina, which was given to the servant who had...
Hello?
Yes, Pat. Yes, Pat. Okay. Okie dokie. The music goes on. Okay, the third forfeited his mina, which is then given to the servant who had 10 minas and 10 who had 10 minas and 10 cities. So we are to rule cities, and the one who failed to invest that mina did nothing but put it in the ground and present it back without having done anything with it. He could have invested, could have put in the bank, gained a little interest, but no. He was lazy. He thought he was getting harp practice. He thought it was just going to be floating in clouds playing the harp. And the other 2 servants were busy investing, busy earning the right to serve and to rule over cities. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Ruling over cities. Why is that important? We go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 26 and 27. Chapter 2, 26. Revelation, the apocalypse. And he who overcomes and keeps my works, again, it's the works, until the end, to him I will give power over the nations. He shall rule them with an iron rod. They shall be dashed to pieces like a potter's vessel, as I also have received from my Father. So again, the promise is those who overcome, who are his faithful elect, we shall rule over the nations. And the rod of iron means no compromise. It is a faithful, loving rule that awaits those who are faithful to their their chief king, who is Elohim. Chapter 3, verse 21. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. Okay, so this is a comparable position from Yeshua to the Father, and we with Yeshua. So that's really echad. That's really a unity that many don't consider. But we have to overcome first. We have to overcome. No, we're hearing sermons saying the Lord doesn't love you any more or any less, no matter what you do. There's nothing we can do to make him love us more or less. And all we got to do is just acknowledge that we're sinners saved by grace and blah, 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 blah. Pardon me before I vomit. No, that's not what he says. We go to Revelation 5, verse 10. You have made us kings and priests to our Elohim, and we shall reign upon the earth. Okay. So again, we're to be priests and kings and ruling on the earth. Revelation 20, verse 6. Blessed and holy is he who is part of the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power. But they shall be priests of Elohim and of Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Reign with. He shall reign, we shall reign with. You know, a lot of us are nervous when we read these verses that make us sound like we're going to be a little closer to Elohim than we anticipate. And because of that, our behavior is not sharpened to the degree it needs to be. We are to be serving Elohim with him. So we can't afford to be doing foolish things. Our character needs to reflect his character. His ways have become our ways. So it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Reign for 1,000 years. And of course, that's the millennium. That's with Messiah literally on a throne in Jerusalem. We shall be his vassal kings over 10 cities, over 5 cities, over 1 city, over whatever. We will be rulers. We will be resurrected, glorified spirit beings, not subjected to illness or death. We are immortal at this point. We've been resurrected. Okay, what happens after all that stuff? The resurrection. Okay, we've heard that teaching. Joining the Lord in the air, his judgment upon the earth. What happens next? This is what happens next. The tikkun olam. We clean up the earth. We build upon it. The rose blooms in the desert because of the capabilities that we have of irrigation, that we can turn the desert into a blossoming oasis, even as Israel. You know, there were those people who visited Israel at the beginning of the 19th century, late 18th century, Mark Twain being one of them. He said, this is the holy city. This is the holy land. It looks like a bomb just went over here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. Where's the glory of Jerusalem? Where is it? It was, but now you go there, and one of the chief exports of Israel is citrus fruits. So you tell me that Elohim does not have a good sense of humor, and that his word will never fail. Revelation 20, verse. Right. Okay, we get that. Okay. Those being called of Elohim are being trained, groomed throughout our lifetime to overcome and to ultimately rule over cities and nations on the earth. We won't be floating on clouds strumming harps. We will be busy doing Yah's work, sharing his workload. We are to be complete and perfect in our tasks, exactly like our Father in heaven. Matthew 5:48. We need to be perfect as our Heavenly Father is perfect. And here we will be. Kifa, Aleph, chapter 1, 15, 16. But as he who has called you is kadosh, is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct, in your behavior. As he is, so you shall also be. So what is it saying there? Is the Father kadosh? Is the Father holy? Of course he's holy. And as he is holy, just as he meets the standard of holiness, so shall you. So shall you. You will meet that same standard. You will be perfect. You will be excellent. But we have to have that mindset. If we have the mindset, oh, we're just going to be floating along and doing whatever, and not being fully vested in the kingdom. Fully vested in the kingdom means you have a say. You are not just a servant, because Yeshua described those who would be rulers as being servants also, but we will be in rulership. We are being groomed for rulership and authority now. We are learning to take on his characteristics in the way that we conduct ourselves, in the way that we live our lives. Do not love the world or the things of this world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. That's Yochanan Aleph, 1 John 2:15. We must overcome ourselves, the world, and the adversary's tactics. We must be tested and at times go through fiery trials. We must be proven faithful, proven genuine, in order for Yahuwah to reproduce in us his mind, his love, and his character. He created us after his kind and offers us a present and a future that goes far beyond anything that we can possibly imagine. He's creating us in his image and likeness at the outset. That's who we are as mankind. We have a Ruach in man, in addition to this, the Ruach HaKodesh. I've spoken about this many times. There's a spirit in man combined with the brain creating the mind in the way that we think, which is much different than instinctive, and so on. So he's created us, and in our life with him, once we go through this new birth process, as he begets us, preparing for the resurrection, we are born of the Ruach in our conduct, but our physical body is begotten. It is planted, and it will be resurrected as a glorious, eternal, immortal body that will be combined with the inner person that's being shaped and fashioned now, to rule, to govern, to have a say. Okay, we go to Yochanan Aleph chapter 3, verse 2. 1 John 3:2. Beloved, now we are B'nai Elohim. We are his offspring. See, there are those who confuse thinking that we're begotten. We're not fully born now, but we are born internally. We've tasted the milk of the word. A baby growing in the womb, awaiting full birth, doesn't know what milk is, has never had milk. Okay? It's being fed from a completely different source. But we've been birthed into the kingdom spiritually, internally. We have become the individual inside, because Yahuwah does not judge the outward, but the inward. It's the inward that's being changed. The outward changes with the inward, but eventually at the resurrection, we will go through this complete manifestation change, okay? Beloved, now we are B'nai Elohim. We are his offspring, period. And it has not yet been revealed what we shall be. But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. So Elohim offers us to be of him, his divine family, into which many divine sons and daughters will be added, okay? 2 Corinthians 6:18, I will be a father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, says Yahuwah Tzvaot, the Lord of hosts. I will be a father to you, a complete father to you, and you shall be my sons and daughters. So we are his offspring, and yet we shall be fully sons and daughters. So there is what's the word? There's a dialogue going on there between the realities that are and the realities that will be. We're not ruling anything right now. I'm sitting here in my chair before a laptop. I'm not ruling anything, okay? But there will come a time, as long as I'm faithful, that there will be a job that needs to be done. So at the resurrection of the righteous, we are to be transformed into immortal spirit beings on par with Messiah. We see that 1 Thessalonians 4:13-18, 1 Corinthians 15:52-54. I'm not going to go there. We will be in the position of judging Malakim, 1 Corinthians 6:3. Do you not know that the Kadoshim, the holy ones, the elect ones, shall judge Malakim? How much more so should you be able to judge things that pertain to this life? And he's saying this as a rebuke to them because they're letting their emotions get in the way of functioning as a governing body. You're going to be judging angels, and you can't even overcome this. Now, when we say judging angels, we're not talking about throwing the book at angels. We won't be judging them in that context. We will be, at the very least, on par with the Malachim. But again, the Malachim don't have the tender loving care that humanity has received over the years for his grooming of being his second in line. So that also shows you how humble the Malachim are, the angels, that they're willing to be with us, to escort us, to watch over us, knowing that we are in a higher position. How much higher? Again, the carnal man is concerned about these things. Well, I want to be able to boss around angels. Yeah. No, you won't get into the kingdom with an attitude like that, first of all. And secondly, you have no idea what it is to judge anything. You haven't even learned to judge yourself. Okay? So our regeneration process begins now. We must put ourselves in the position of the holiness that's required to receive his Ruach, which includes power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. So there's a lot of people who are saying, oh, I have the Spirit. I have the Holy Ghost. Okay. And you know this, how and why? There's a lot of people who are deceiving themselves. What did Messiah say? When will you return? One of these things is going to happen. He says, make sure that no one deceives you. Primarily you. Don't deceive yourself. A lot of people think, oh, I got the Holy Ghost, whatever. And if you're not bearing the fruit, and if you're still doing X, Y, and Z, waiting to be, judged whether that was appropriate or not, then you're not in any position at all to make a statement like that. Messiah as the first fruit is our example and guide, having been declared to be the Ben Elohim with power according to the Ruach of holiness by the resurrection of the dead, Romans 1:4. And we are predestined or planned to be conformed to the image of his Son, that we might be the firstborn among many brethren. That's Romans 8:29. I've read that several times over the, you'll notice that you might hear some verses that are familiar. Good. Repetition. We need to be familiar with these verses, where they're located, and what are they actually saying. A lot of us just kind of, oh, that sounds nice. And it has no sense of reality to them. And we need to get real, peeps. And I say that to everyone, that we need to get real with the prophetic fulfillment of his word in our lives. Colossians 1:18 says, he, being Messiah, is the head of the body, the kahal, the ecclesia, the community of believers, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have preeminence. Okay? He's the head. He's the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. All things he has preeminence. Numero uno, okay? Second Kepha, chapter 3, verse 18. We are to grow in the grace and knowledge of our Adon and Savior Yeshua, the Messiah. Okay? 1 Corinthians 15:49. We have borne the image of the man of dust. We shall also bear the image of the heavenly man. Okay. Okay, so he has preeminence, the firstborn, and we are to be of him and pursue his standard. 1 Yochanan chapter 3, and everyone who has this hope in him purifies himself just as he is pure. So again, we have that I am holy, and as I am holy, so you must be holy in the same way. So whoever has this hope in him purifies himself. We're capable of purifying ourselves, of strengthening ourselves in Yahuwah, not waiting for him to hit us with a sandbag of blessings. But we purify ourselves with this hope. We take this hope. What do we do with it? Are we just saying, oh, it's beautiful, it's so nice, it's so wonderful, I really like it? But it's sitting there. It's inviting you to do something with it, right? Take it, embrace it. I take that hope. I, by that action, purify myself. Okay? And I am purified to the same status as he is as I take this hope and embrace it. I'm just as pure as he is. Now, wait a minute. That sounds scary. That sounds presumptuous. But that's the standard. And don't be intimidated by it. We acknowledge him in all ways. We grow in all ways as he is. And we have to be willing to move forward and accept the truth. Philippians 2:5. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Messiah Yeshua. So we put on the mind of Messiah. What does that mean? What does that mean? Let this mind be in you that was also in Messiah Yeshua. So we are to have the same mindset as him. It's saying nothing less than that. Daniel 17:18 and 27 says, but the Kadoshim, the holy ones of the Most High of Elyon, shall receive a kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even for forever and ever. Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heavens shall be given to the people, the Kadoshim, the holy ones of the Most High. So as Canaan was given to his son Israel, okay, let's sit back and get a little perspective on things. Yisrael was given the land of promise, which began with Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, the 12 children, and now they have the land. They're going into the land through Yehoshua. Okay? Just as Canaan was given to his son Israel, his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. So is this kingdom for us to enter into. Not to be lost in the wilderness for 40 years, but to take it, to go in and possess the land. Right? Okay. It's given to the people, the holy ones of the Most High. His kingdom is everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. And we shall serve and rule under his authority. So while they're obeying him, we who are in line with him, who are in service of him, receive that obedience as well. Okay, 1 Corinthians 13:12. Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am known. Yada. He fully knows us. Read Psalm 139. Meditate on that. He knows us. He knows us. We will know even as we are known. You know? Even as we are known. We're like, and I remember I hated this in junior high, and I refused to take part of it because I don't want to hurt animals. But they used to do the frog dissections. And here's a frog on this tray, pinned to the thing, and you dissect him. There you go. I wanted nothing to do with that. It was barbaric. I don't even know if they do that anymore. But that idea of having that kind of authority, to utilize and do foolishly, it does not bear life. Mankind only learns through death. Man wants to dissect and to take it apart and then to understand it. We look at like the Audubon Society and all these things, all these beautiful paintings. They killed those animals and posted them and painted them from their corpses, So we only gain knowledge and appreciation of life by killing it first. Okay, we shall serve and rule under his authority, okay? We shall see then face to face. I shall know even as I am known. Right now, I am known. I am that frog on that platter. And then I shall know as I am known as the one who is in the position of dissecting the frog. That's where I was going with that. We used to be just something. Now we are the presiding wisdom over that thing and the power of life and death over that thing. Okay? We go to the book of Job, 19, verse 25 to 27. Yov, for I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at last on the earth, and after my skin is destroyed in the grave, this I know, that in my flesh as a resurrected spirit being, right? No longer subjected to decay. I know that in my flesh I shall see my Elohim face to face. I shall see him. I shall see him, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another. How my heart yearns within me. How my heart yearns within me to experience that I will see my Redeemer long after my death. It'll happen. So we're called, and we are awakened to serve and to rule. We are called, we are awakened to serve and to rule. We talked about this with I believe it wasn't last week, it was a week before, about the dead. Well, that was number 62. Bring out your dead, in which the righteous are referred to as being asleep. Talitha Kumi, arise, little girl. To Yeshua, she was asleep. Lazarus, even 4 days in the tomb, he was asleep, and he had to. Well, if he's sleeping, Lord, maybe he can wake up and he'll be okay. So no. He's dead. Okay, he's dead, but he's asleep. He needs somebody to wake him up. We need to be wakened up. That's the resurrection. We need somebody to call us. And through that wake-up call, the teruah, which is the awakening blast, the awakening call, that's what teruah means. It doesn't mean a shofar, doesn't mean a trumpet. It's the awakening call. And that's the resurrection. Absolutely. Bereshit, go back to Genesis 32:30. So Yaakov called the place Peniel, which means the face of Elohim. It is because I saw Elohim face to face, and yet my life was spared. Okay, so here I'm going to go to Book of Hebrews 2, 5 through 7, in which the author addresses the Psalm 8, which I began a while ago, okay? For he has not put the world to come, of which we speak, in subjugation to Malachim, of angels. For he has not put the world to come, the future world, under the rulership of Malachim. The angels are not going to rule, okay? But one testified in a certain place, and this is referring to Psalm 8, of David, saying, what is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you take care of him? You have made him a little lower than the Malachim. And he's using the Elohim from the Hebrew to refer to divine beings. And divine beings, Malachim, are those who were divinely sent. Okay? It says, you crowned him with glory and honor and set him over the works of your hands. Notice man's potential and his ultimate superiority to the Malachim. For man was made a little, or as some scholars translate, a little while he was made lower than the Malachim, than the angels, a little lower in the Greek here. So that's why he's using the Malachim here, because in a little while we won't be a little lower than the Malachim. It's only for a time, for a season. In our mortality, we have been created lower than the Malachim. But as resurrected beings, we will be as Mashiach, as the Ben Elohim. We shall be like him. We shall be, he is to be the first among many brethren. Brothers and sisters, we will be with him as fully resurrected beings, much like him. Ultimately, Elohim plans to put all things in subjection under mankind. The Greek phrase all things may be understood as the entire universe. For this subjecting of the universe to man. Okay, so all things means just that, all things. We are in the position of inheriting all things. We go to verse 8 of Hebrews 2. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him, but now we do not yet see all things put under him. Right, as I said earlier, nothing is excluded from being under man's dominion, but it is not yet accomplished. Elohim created man to be truly like him, even his job description, and we are destined to be involved in every square foot of the universe at the speed of thought. We who overcome are to be genuine sons and daughters, not allegorical or pseudo-children, or of a lower rank and level of existence. And those people who use the term spiritual, well, I'm a spiritual Jew, or I'm a spiritual that, and using the word spiritual to mean allegorical, to mean not really, but sorta. I'm kind of sorta. in a spiritual sense, if you know what I mean. I'm sort of, no, don't use spiritual in that context. If you mean allegorical, say allegorical, okay? We need to be people who are true to our word, even as our Creator is true to His word, okay? And His word is emet, His word is truth. Messiah is truth, who's also the word. Okay, this is what I got here. Okay, we're full-fledged B'nai Elohim, children of Elohim, to have rulership over the universe as Adam was to have rulership over the earth. Okay, back to Hebrews 2, verse 9. But we see Yeshua, who was made a little lower than the Malachim, as mortal body was prepared for him in that context, for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of Elohim, might taste death for everyone. For it was fitting for him, for whom all things and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons to glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through his sufferings. For both he who sanctifies and those who are being sanctified are all of one. For which reason he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare your name to my brethren. In the midst of the assembly I will sing praise to you. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, here I am, Hineni, and the children whom Elohim has given to me. Okay, let's stop there 1 second. Are you getting this? Are you understanding what he's actually saying? All things, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things. And we are to be like him. We are to be part of that. He inherits everything. We inherit everything. Bringing many sons to glory, for both he who sanctifies, those who are being sanctified, and he who is sanctifying are all of one. We are all of the same family. And he's not ashamed to call them brethren, as we receive our instructions, as we receive his further purposes in our lives, okay? Inasmuch then as the B'nai, as the children have partaken of flesh and blood, which is mortality, flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom, so we need to see what's being spoken of here. For inasmuch then as the children have partaken of flesh and blood, he himself likewise shared in the same, that through death he might destroy him who had the power of death, that is, the devil, and release those who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For indeed he does not give aid to Malachim, he doesn't give aid to angels, but he does give aid to the seed of Abraham. So here we see again the superior position of mankind over the Malachim. He doesn't aid the Malachim. The Malachim, in their original estate, are given their purpose and their role. They don't need any assistance. They say, oh, Abba, I'm having a hard time. Can you just give me a little help here? No, Malachim don't need any help. Malachim have been born as they are. They don't need to grow to be better or to be weaker. We know that they can fall, but they are born as is, as far as we know. Again, yeah, as far as I know. Who am I? But I do know that Malachim do not need any further training in that respect. For indeed, he does not give aid to Malachim, angels, but he does give aid to the seed of Abraham. Therefore, in all things, he had to be made like his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to Elohim, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. So he's the great high priest. He's the Kohen Hagadol. And when we see in the book of Zechariah, we see that the Kohen Hagadol also shares the crown of the king as well. So Mashiach is that king priest, and we are to be Kohanim and vassal kings also. We're united in that purpose that he's making for us. He became like us so that we might become like him. That's not the same as what the Mormons say. The Mormons say what he is, what he once was, we are. What he is now is what we will become. Sort of self-deification. It's not what we're saying here, or me. He became like us, flesh and blood, so that we might become like him. We will see him as he is because we will be like him. He's the first among many brethren. There's all these verses confirming what I'm saying here, ladies and gentlemen. So please, it might be hard for you to hear this stuff, but listen carefully. Galatians 4:19. My dear children, and this is Shaul speaking, Paul, my dear children, for whom I am again in the pains of childbirth until Messiah is formed in you. Okay? And this is what I'm working on this right now, but I use these verses so that we can get a deeper understanding. Yeshayahu 9:6-7. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty Elohim, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And again, there's four couplings there of two things, something and a description. Something and a description. So we have these four titled names, which are eight, right? Just like we started today thinking about the eight, the perfection, the eternity. We see that on the day of circumcision, in which you become a new being, right? You are circumcised, and the circumcision prepares you to produce a new generation. Also, the eighth day, after the 7 days in the sukkah, the eighth great day, symbolic of what goes beyond the millennium. Okay, of the increase of his government and peace, there will be no end. There will be no end. There will be no end. It'll continue to grow. It'll continue to increase. Even as Daniel describes the rock that shatters the statue, continues to grow. It's not formed by human hands. It's not chiseled out by a chisel and a hammer. It's the great rock. It is the Petra that continues to grow and take over the whole earth. The whole earth becomes the mountain. Come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of the Elohim of Yaakov, and he will teach us his ways. We will learn. We will learn. We will learn. We're learning now. This is what we're doing. We're supposed to be learning. Okay, Romans 8:17. And if we are children, then heirs of Elohim, and joint heirs with Messiah. If indeed we suffer with him, that we might also be glorified together. Philippians 3:21. Messiah will transform our lowly body, that it may be conformed to his glorious body, according to the working by which he is able even to subdue all things to himself. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, because all these verses just continue to, and yet so many people don't understand this. They're fearful of this. They don't want to have that responsibility. Well, guess what? It's a glorious responsibility to serve under Mashiach, to serve with him, to be answerable only to him and the Father, and to do the work. To do the work. For years, I'm subjected to bosses. I'm subjected to my landlord. I'm subjected to all these things. Then I'm subjected to nothing but Yeshua directly. The Marine who's out there serving, doing the work, he's only answerable to those who are above him in the ladder of the chain of command. That's it. Somebody say, hey, why don't you do this? Excuse me. You don't have authority over me. And that's the adversary. Client wants to have authority over us, and we say, get lost. Get lost. Okay, Ephesians 4:13. Till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Ben Elohim, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Messiah. Again, this is a work in progress, literally. We're coming to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of Ben Elohim. Not the knowledge about him, but his knowledge. Because we have the mind of Messiah. He is the head of the body. The head connects with everything. The head makes the determination to lift up my arm and to wave my hand. It's all one. It's echad. It's not like saying, oh, the head is telling this to go here. Well, it is doing that, but it does it in a natural way, in the perfectly organized way. I and my hand are one, okay? The full stature, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Messiah. That's That's a verse that I always get blown away by. Romans 8:28-30. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love Elohim and to those who are called according to his purpose. We'd like to stop it right there. Yeah, we're called according. But what purpose are we called to? Called according to his purpose. What is his purpose? Oh, that we go to heaven and we walk along the clouds. We strum harps, right? Strum harps on clouds, right? That's what we're doing. That's the purpose. For whom he foreknew, he also predestined. He planned for us to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he predestined, he also called. Whom he called, he also justified. And whom he justified, he also glorified. What shall we say to these things? If Elohim is for us, who can be against us? Again, that last verse everyone knows. So the verse at the beginning, the verse at the end, we all know. But all the stuff in between about being conformed to the image of Messiah, to have rulership with him, to be pure and holy as he is, to have his wisdom, to have his knowledge. That's the stuff that we have problems. So we have a redacted Bible is what we have, where there's a lot of black lines covering stuff. So we would have, if the Lord is with me, all things work together for good to those who love the Lord. Bump, 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 bump. If God is for us, who can be against us? All that black lines in there. I just connect this one verse. I did such a good job. Wow. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You fall into that category that Gilbert shared before in Kepha, the second chapter, second book, of the false teachers, false teachers, false teachers. Some are doing it ignorantly, but they're not off the hook. Because if you want to serve Yahuwah, if you want to really do a teaching, you got to get your hands into the soil. You got to get your hands into the soil. You got to get your knees covered with grass stains. You got to be out there in the turf, man. You got to get out there. You have the right instruments. You have an awl and all stuff to dig and to do what needs to be done to find the solutions and the discoveries that are there to be had. Okay, I'm going a little long in certain areas. I realize that. So apologize for that. We go to Matthew chapter 20, verse 25-8. Matthew 20, 25-28. Yeshua called them to himself and said, that the rulers of the Goyim lord it over them, and those who are great exercise authority over them. Yet it shall not be so among you. But whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be the first among you, let him be your slave. Just as the Ben Adam, the Son of Man, did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. How many of these fat cat preachers on the TV telling you that you're being irresponsible if you're not sending money to me? You're not sending your money. You have no faith in me. You have no faith in the servant of the Lord. And if you're not planting seed, you're uprooting seed. You're not playing by the rules, my brethren. No. Don't listen to that crap. Don't listen to that crap. And I'm tempted to use a stronger word than that, but that would only defeat and diffuse my statement. So I'm not going to go there. Ay. But it's enough to make you spit, enough to make you turn your stomach. What so many of these people are doing, and the words of Messiah being twisted to mean something completely different, something less than. We should never look at each other as someone less than. We should never look at the purpose and the plan of Elohim in our lives as less than. It's always more than. It's always top. It's always l'chaim. It's always to life, not to comatose state or to death. But we don't lord it over. We don't lord it over. We don't lord it over. Did not come to be served, but to serve. But to serve. How can you, send free literature? There's some organizations that do that. Send free literature. Okay. Freely we've been given, freely we give. Freely we've been given, freely we give. That's been my mantra, if you will, for many years now. We go to Luke 6:35. But love your enemies, do good and lend, hoping nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be B'nai El Elyon, sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the unthankful and the evil. You know? So again, I'm not telling you that you're going to be big shots in the kingdom, like what's his face, like Haman, parading through town. I am the big shot. I am the big shot. Why is this guy not bowing to me? This character here, that get the wrong idea of what it is to be great in the kingdom of Elohim. You have to learn to serve each other, serve everyone. Humble yourself in the sight of Yahuwah, and he will lift you up. He will exalt you. He will give you purpose and meaning and definition in your life. We go to chapter 14 of Luke, 13 and 14. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you. For you shall be repaid and rewarded at the resurrection of the just. You're going to get your reward. You're going to get you're going to get what you deserve. How's that? How is that? And as I say that, does that give you tingles down the spine? Or does that make you say, Amen? So let's make sure it's the Amen response that we want to hear, okay? So the image of Elohim can be renewed in human beings only through the living presence of Yeshua in our lives. He reflects the glory of the Father, and so must we. So must we. Galatians 2:20. I have been crucified with Messiah. It is no longer I that live, but Messiah lives in me. In the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the B'nai Elohim, Ben Elohim, not B'nai. He is the Ben. We are the B'nai. We are the children, but he is the son. Okay? Ha-Ben, the son. By faith, just like we are first fruits, plural, he is the first fruit. Okay, ending with the T, no S there. I live by faith in the Ben Elohim, the son of El, who loved me and gave himself for me. Like Messiah, we've been called to teach. In the future, there will be one of our major vocations as divine beings. We will be teachers. We will be those who are instructing and constructing. As we talked about the Tikkun Olam, we will be part of that workforce that's going to do great things with Mashiach as the head foreman. Okay. So it's Messiah who lives in me. It's no longer I that lives, but Messiah who lives in me. He lives in me. The life I live now in the flesh, in my mortal existence, I live by faith in Elohim. Not talking about which I live now. I now live in the flesh. I live by faith. Who loved me and gave himself for me. So it's not talking about the resurrection. It's talking now. That we live in the flesh. That we make sure that the Ruach is what governs us. Okay? Yeshayahu, Isaiah 30, verse 20, 21. And though Yahuwah gives you the bread of adversity and water of affliction, again, this is the punishment. And these prophets are filled with these gaps. And some of us need a little swat on the butt sometimes. Okay? And though you get your correction, you get that swat on the butt, yet your teachers will not be moved into a corner anymore. But your eyes shall see your teachers. Aha. Your ears shall hear a word saying, this is the way, walk in it. Teachers will arise with integrity. Teachers will arise with integrity. This is the way, walk in it. Whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. That's wonderful. That's what we're trying to do for now. Fill in that role of reliable teachers, okay? During the millennial rule of Messiah and the resurrected Kadoshim, those millions of human survivors of the wars still living upon the earth will be taught the Derech Shalom, the way of peace, prosperity, and true happiness. We see a hint of this in Micah, the book of Micah, otherwise known as Micah, chapter 4. So we will be teaching those who survive these attacks against Jerusalem. They will be mortals. They'll live to long ages, but they will be mortals. They'll survive. And we will be part of the force that's going to teach them. Micah 4, 1 through 4. Now it shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house shall be established on the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow to it. Many nations shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim, of Yaakov. He will teach us his ways, and we shall walk in his paths. And just as Moshe would do instructions and receive counselors, we will be in charge of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. And we will hear that case. And we are representing Yehoshua, the great king. And what we represent him. And our words will be his words. His words are our words. Okay.
Put down.
Just go see who it is. See, that's when you gotta change the thing.
Oh, just one side. Okay.
Okay. Okie dokie. For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, the word of Yerushalayim, the word of Yahuwah from Yerushalayim. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We sing that every week. Ki metzion de'te Torah, udvar Yahuwah meYerushalayim. Amen. He shall judge between many peoples and rebuke strong nations afar off. And we see this in Zechariah 14, verse 16. Okay, we'll get. We want to see the sitz and Laban, the life setting of this reality. This is again the end of the wars. And it shall come to pass that everyone who is left, that remains of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, shall go up from year to year to worship Hamelech, the king, Yahuwah Tzvaot, the Lord of hosts, and to keep Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. So they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks, going back to Micah. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. But everyone shall sit under his vine, under his own fig tree. There's no reason to battle. There's no reason to be jealous. We're all sitting under our own vine and fig tree. So there's no more war anymore, but everyone will sit calm, not guarded with our loins girded, ready to go and do battle, right? Under his own fig tree, under his own vine, and no one shall make them afraid. For the mouth of Yahuwah Tzvaot has spoken. Again, boom, he's spoken. His verdict has been delivered. For all people walk each in the name of his Elohim, but we will walk in the name, or in the teaching of Yahuwah, our Elohim, forever and ever. Okay? So the little section of Zechariah shows that at the end, the survivors are going to come up and they're going to learn of Yahuwah. They're going to learn about all that stuff. They're going to come to know. And for 1,000 years, there's going to be peace. And going back to Micah, for all people, now this is an interesting thing. It says, for all people walk each in the name of his Elohim, but we will walk in the name of Yahuwah, our Elohim, forever and ever. Okay, so as a Navi, he's saying they're going to walk in the name of their Elohim. We will walk in the name of Yahuwah. Okay, in the name of their Elohim. So there's two options there. This might mean that those still clinging to their old deities will, with our help and our instruction as teachers, be weaned off of them and fully embrace Yahuwah. Or, and this is the more intriguing possibility, Micah may be describing the relationship of people in the various cities or provinces to their particular ruler or judge, Elohim. Remember what we read before, that Elohim, we are we're born a little less than Elohim, but we will grow into the Elohim family. So, people in these various cities might be referring to their particular ruler who's watching over them, just like we have a mayor. Being in New York, maybe I have a bad example here, but say down in Florida, that guy seems to know what he's doing. We say we're really happy about him. We don't deal directly with the president, and we know why. Again, no politics, no politics. Okay, but we like our mayor. We like the guy who's over us here directly and locally. Doesn't mean that we're trying to overthrow this. Doesn't mean that at all. But just says we know him, and he's very intimately involved in all these things. So There you go. That's the two options, I believe. And I'm not so quick to dismiss the second, you know, their particular ruler or judge, Elohim, a born from above member of Yah's family assigned to rule their city or state. We see that in Luke 19:17-19. Luke 19:17-19, okay? We will be, B'nai Elohim, called, being children of the resurrection, okay? Children of the resurrection, B'nai Ha-Tekuma, okay? B'nai Ha-Tekuma, Tekuma, Kuma, Talitha Kumi, variation of rising. Little girl, arise. Here we see the idea of rising, of the resurrection, those who are risen. Beautiful, huh? Okay. Sons and daughters of the resurrection, we will be like Elohim. We will literally be filled with and composed of Ruach HaKodesh, holy set apart spirit, as Elohim himself. In the mind of Yahuwah, we have always existed, being predestined as part of his eternal plan. We've always been, if the Lord should tarry. My daughter is pregnant with a little girl for July. For all I know, Yahuwah is talking about that baby still within my daughter, her granddaughter. Could be talking about my granddaughter. She's been planned to lead a teaching somewhere. So who knows? Who knows? Even as Yochanan says, what we will be, I can't really give you all kinds of details. I just know that we will see him, we will be like him because we'll see him as he is. And we won't be incinerated, who sees Elohim will die. No, we won't. So let's look at comparable situations. As Abraham, the exalted father, as Abraham is the rock from which we were hewn, Isaiah 51:1-2, and so he had innumerable offspring, including us. So Yahuwah, who is the archetypical father, the primary father, remember Av, the Aleph, which is the primary, which is the strength, combined with the bait, without the dagesh, is Av, the father, the master of the house, master of the household, the temple, the kingdom are all of the house. And he's the primary. He is the primary. He is the archetype. Okay? Just as Abraham is the father of innumerable offspring, so Yahuwah will have innumerable offspring beyond the grains of sand or the stars in the heavens that he promised for Abraham. He was his friend. They were compadres. They were both fathers of a child of the promise. Yahuwah offered his son fully for us, to die for us. Abraham offered Yitzhak, but was stayed. He was prevented from killing his son, but the intention was there. And Yahuwah provided. Yahuwah Yirah, the Lord's provisions will be seen, and it was seen. And he saw the ram that took the place of his son, and Yeshua said, Abraham saw me in my day, and he rejoiced over it. That was the sweetest sight he ever saw, seeing that ram in the thicket. Where is the sacrifice? There it is. It's I'm an old man. I'm an old Abraham, and yet he was able to take that ram, who had strong horns, and were able to offer that sacrifice. So they had a lot in common. Okay, Av and Avraham. Okay, Romans 4:17. I'm coming close to a conclusion here. Bear with me just a little longer. Romans 4:17. As it is written, I have made you a father of many nations in the presence of him who he believed, Elohim, who gives life to the dead and calls those things which do not exist as though they did. We were in the loins of Elohim as the righteous seed was in the loins of Abraham. Okay, even Levi, who receives tithes, pay tithes through Abraham, so to speak, for he was still in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. That's from Hebrews 7, 9, and 10. When he created Malachim, he created the angels, later created the earth, and put mankind, Adam, upon it. And still later, when he sent his son to create an entrance as the door into the eternal family of Elohim. So it's a family. We're being reunited as a family. And I spoke about that last week, I think, the B'nai Elohim. So you'll see that there's a connection, not a tight connection where you're going to miss part one or so on. But if you look back at the last few weeks, you'll see the subject is a flow. And that's what I want to do. I want to flow. There might come a time I'll be teaching something brand new that's unconnected, but I want to have there to be a flow, that there's a purpose to the teachings where it's not just, well, what do you feel like talking about today? Anyway, okay, remember the angels rejoiced when they saw the creation of the earth. Okay, Ephesians 3, verses 14 to 19. For this reason I bow my knees to the Father of our Adon Yeshua HaMashiach, from whom the whole family on heaven and earth is named. Okay, the family, we get that. That he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might through his Spirit in the inner man, that Messiah may dwell in your hearts through faith. That you, being rooted and grounded in love, and what is love? Love is Elohim. Elohim is love. Ahav, the Father revealed. Okay? May be able to comprehend with all the Kadoshim, the holy ones, what is the width, length, depth, and height, to know the love of Messiah which passes knowledge. And again, we have, as our friend Michael pointed out a while back, that width, length, depth, and height, we have four things. There's only three dimensions. One is mentioned twice. So in order to get the four is significant. It's a universal number, and it has precedence in its application and in its influence in the world, okay? To know the love of Messiah which passes knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of Elohim, okay? That you may be filled with all the fullness of Elohim. How can we be filled with all the fullness of Elohim and not be like Elohim? Okay? Okay, 1 Corinthians 1. I think that's where I'm going here. Where's the Bible? I see him. See, I hope I didn't make a mistake here. 1 Corinthians. Before I go, I'm going to make sure I didn't make a boo-boo. We don't like to make the boo-boo. Because I'm saying, trust what I'm telling you. But I make a boo-boo. I am sorry. Bear with me. Just another amendment, please. Yeah, it's Colossians, whatever, number 1. Oh, I just invented first Colossians. Okay. Pardons. Okay. Colossians 1, 26, 27. The mystery which has been hidden from ages and from generations, but now has been revealed to the Kadoshim, the holy ones. To them Elohim willed to make them known what are the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Goyim, among the nations, which is Messiah in you, the hope of glory. So again, this is a mystery to a lot of people. It's hidden from ages. You know, Shaul is even saying that most people don't even know about this stuff. That when he speaks about it, people say, huh? What you talking about there? To them Elohim will to make known what are the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Goyim, which is Yeshua in you, Messiah in you, the hope of glory, Him we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, chokhmah, that we may present every man perfect in Messiah Yeshua. So that's the expectation, that he's fully forming himself in us by his Ruach, and he is perfect, that is within us. So what does that mean? That his perfect standard needs to affect our inner man, our inner woman, that we're no longer conflicted. We got Messiah, we got the Ruach here, and we still have the tendency to want to, shoot up some heroin or involve in adultery or whatever, and that's all fine because we're only human. No, it's no longer I that lives, it's Messiah who lives in me. He lives, he lives. Yeshua is alive in me. I used to love that song years ago. Yochanan 17:5 and 6. And now, O Father, Messiah as he speaks with his Father. The most intimate chapter, I would dare say, in the scriptures where Yeshua is speaking with his Father. It's, whoa. And now, O Father, glorify me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was. I have manifested your name to the men whom you have given me out of this world. And again, he manifested his name, and also within that name is the teaching, which is the standard. They were yours. You gave them to me, and they have kept your word, as he did. The standard is the same of him and the many brethren that he has been given to us. So they have kept your word, even as Messiah did. Verse 11, now I am no longer in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to you. Holy Father, keep through your name, your teaching, those whom you have given me, that they may be one as we are. 16 to 23. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. We are not comprised of worldly things. Okay? Sanctify them by your truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I also have sent them into the world. So we are shaliachim in that sense. We are all being sent, breathed out, and delivered by the Ruach. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also may be sanctified by the truth. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, that they may be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you sent me, and the glory which you gave me I have given them, that they may be one, just as we are one. I in them, you in me, that they may be perfect in one, and that the world may know that you sent me, and have loved them as you have loved me. So the Father loves us as much as he loves Yeshua. That's a tough one to believe, right? That we would be one. The unity, the true unity. The true unity. And I pray for those who gave me, that they may be one. What else is here that's really important? I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their word. So their word is an extension of Messiah. We who are alive in Messiah, we deliver the word. We are doing his will. We are serving as Messiah served. People are coming to know the word through us, not just 2,000 years ago, but today. The unbroken connection is still accurate and purposeful and eternal. We go to Hebrews one more time. Hebrews 11:6. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to Elohim must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. It's an amazing, amazing award awaits us, an amazing future and destiny. Let's use the word destiny so much, but the future is an amazing, amazing reality waiting for us, just as he planned and predestined us for the purpose. What we have believed in is predestined for us to receive. Okay? So as Messiah assists the Father in bringing many sons to glory, Hebrews 2:10, they are bringing into being an entire spiritual, composed, ruling nation. So we have a very interesting future ahead of us if we hold to the end the same enthusiasm and purpose that we had at the beginning, at the outset. The Aleph and the Beit, the Aleph and the Tav. The beginning, excitement, the end, the same excitement and enthusiasm. We can't afford to put our foot off the gas because this train's got no brakes. We're moving forward. There's no reason to stop. We are accomplishing what the Father wants us to do, and to be aware of our glorious potential, our future. Who's in charge? He's in charge, but he's also put us in charge. Large and in charge. We have been placed here for a purpose. There's no mistakes. There's no accidents of birth. We've all been given life. In him we live, we move, and we have our being. We have a purpose to fulfill, to allow him to develop his character through us, and to be faithful to him, and to build and develop that relationship that we gain in wisdom and knowledge and understanding, able to communicate truth, to live truth, to love truth. There are those who will never develop the love of truth, and so be destroyed. We need to love the truth. This is my greatest thrill, to be here every week and to do this. And I appreciate you being part of this. And we thank the Eternal Father for sending us to fulfill our purpose in the world. What we're doing is simply, trying to fill our job description. We're not going above and beyond. We are going at the rate that we need to go at. Each one of us. We're not to judge each other. We are to judge ourselves. And what that means is we have to be the best version of who we are, not compare ourselves to anybody else. There's one standard, is Messiah, his standard. He wants us to move at the pace that we can move at, not to try to compete with anybody else. Everyone's going to have a little different pace. Some are quicker, some are slower. As long as we're able to appreciate. There's people who can do speed reading, but they have no sense of reading comprehension. They have no idea what they read. So we got to be not that. So let us allow Yahuwah to create himself in us. He made us in his image and likeness. He desires for his Ruach to dwell in us richly. And he is always the head. We are always the body, as we come together with the living stones of the temple, of our base, of the house. He's the master of the house. He's the Aleph and the Beit together, the master of the house. And we are those who serve in that house. So let us do so effectively and efficiently. Amen.
Amen.
And amen. You take the lid off there for me. Can't reach it. Okie dokie. So we want to give you an opportunity to contact us. Beth Tefilah, Messianic Congregation, Beth Tefilah. You see that in our job description. It's Post Office Box 170384, 170384. And that's Ozone Park, New York, 11417, 11417. Okay. You can text us, 718-219-5247, 718-219-5247. And William, we thank you so much for hanging with us. And there's a live chat always going on. I can't always read what's being said, but I make my best effort. And I dry out very quickly. Amen. So we'll do the 10 words, the Devarim in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 1. Deuteronomy 5, verse 1, and going forward. The 10 words, the commandments of Yahuwah. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your hearing today, that you may learn them and be careful to observe them, to keep them, to guard them. Yahuwah our Elohim made a covenant with us at Horeb Yahuwah did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, those of us who are alive. Yahuwah talked with you face to face on the mountain in the midst of the fire. I stood between you and them at that time to declare to you the word of Yahuwah, for you were afraid because of the fire, and you did not go up to the mountain. He said, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other Elohim beside me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. For this is the love of Elohim. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah your Elohim in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vanity. That we are not to eradicate or bring to nothing his wonderful name. Observe the Shabbat day to guard it, as kadosh, as holy, as Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you. 6 days you may labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahuwah your Elohim. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor the stranger who is within your gates, that you, male servant and your female servant, may also rest and cease from activities, whether good or bad, that we don't mess up the day, as well as you. And remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Yahuwah your Elohim brought you out of there by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you to guard the Shabbat day. Honor your father and your mother, as Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded you, that your days may be long and that it may be well with you in the land of which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, you shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male servant, his female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahuwah spoke to all your assembly in the mountain, from the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness, with a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. Amen. Amen. The Devarim, we do not add and we do not subtract. We do not embellish and we don't diminish. His word is perfectly good as is. Amen. This is the Torah, which Moshe placed before the Bnei Israel, the children of Israel. It is in the core with Yahuwah's command by the hand of Moshe. A tree of life it is for those who take hold of it. Blessed are the ones who support it. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Long life is in its right hand, and its left are riches and honor. Yahuwah was pleased for the sake of his righteousness to render the Torah great and glorious. When the ark rested, Moshe would say, Return, O Yahuwah, to the myriads of Israel's families. Arise, O Yahuwah, to your resting place, you and your mighty ark. Clothe your priests, your Kohanim, with righteousness. May those who have experienced your faithful love shout for joy.
Amen.
Amen. For the sake of your servant David, don't delay the return of your Mashiach. I give you good instruction. Do not forsake my Torah. And for the blessings. Baruch atah Yahuwah, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chavav lanu b'tzidkenu. Baruch atah Yahuwah, noten haTorah. Blessed are you, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, sovereign of the universe, who's given us a Torah of truth and has planted eternal life in our midst. And blessed are you, O Yahuwah, giver of Torah. Amen. Amen. So again, I thank you for being with us. We're closing in on 2.5 hours. 1, 2, 3. 1:24 just changed. So be with us, please. And tell people about what we're doing here. This is a very challenging teaching. You might not agree with a lot of what I said, but check out, prove all things, test all things. This is not a typical messianic teaching, but it is essential to prepare us for what lies ahead, and it's amazing. All things, he's willing to give to us, all things. Not holding anything back. So again, we thank you for this Shabbat gathering, and we remind you this coming Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. we will be continuing in our journey through Psalm 119 with our friend Herman, and as well as Gilbert and Pat and ourselves. So be with us, and we thank you. And we pray for your health and your well-being, that you're keeping safe, that you're doing what we need to do. We all need to not point the finger at each other, conspiracies or non-conspiracies or whatever we're thinking. That Yahuwah wants us to be safe. He wants us to be know that He is in charge, and that we don't tempt Him or to put Him to the test, because He does not tempt any of us either. So we need to be faithful to Him who is faithful to us. And He wants us to know that He loves us in every day or circumstance. He's there to help us and guide us. Amen. So we say the benediction now. May the Lord Yahuwah bless you and keep you. May Yahuwah make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahuwah lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. As I said earlier, the perfect peace, shalom, shalom, the perfect peace that surpasses our understanding, to guard our hearts and our minds. Messiah Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
Yivarechach Yahuwah v'yishmerecha. Yair Yahuwah panav elecha v'chunecha. Yisa Yahuwah panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We have our song. I'll take the speak out.
Wait. No. Stop.
Bear with us.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's okay now.
Bless you and keep you. The Lord lift His countenance upon you and give you peace. And give you peace. And give you peace. The Lord make His face to shine upon you. And be gracious unto you. And be gracious. The Lord be gracious. Gracious unto you.
Amen. And again, tomorrow is the first day of the 12th month, the last Chodesh of the year. And at the end of that month, we have the Aviv, we have the New Year, the Rosh Chodesh, the Rosh Hashanah. So don't forget that tomorrow we can celebrate and enjoy the day that Yahuwah has given us in celebration of the new month. So Todah Rabah, again, I thank you so much for being with us. Be blessed, and be a blessing to others. And sometimes the best way to recover from a health situation or a situation where we're struggling or suffering is to be a blessing to someone else. And it'll just trigger off a response that we might not have expected. We need to be a blessing at all times. And again, until this coming Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., I wish you a a Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom.
but also a Lehitraot. We will see you later. Be well, my brethren. Be good. Be good. Tov. Ma'od.